Welcome to Your Childhood is Over. No, it's not. Where we discuss how people from an abusive childhood are likely to invite abuse back into their adult lives through a sinister hidden force called repetition compulsion. My name is Annette Hunter. I'm a medical doctor. These videos are my opinion based on many years where I was under the control of this force. These videos are not a substitute for therapy. If you feel emotionally overwhelmed or have any thoughts of self-harm, please contact a qualified therapist or your doctor immediately. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the first tale of repetition compulsion. I think one of the reasons people don't know of repetition compulsion is because the title is too difficult to remember. Repetition compulsion is a psychological terminology, and if you haven't studied psychology or psychiatry, it might be difficult to remember these words. Therefore, there is no point in me going on and on about repetition compulsion if the terminology means nothing to you. I will refer to it as a toxic, sinister, hidden force that makes you recreate the abuse you suffered as a child in your adult life. It makes you invite the same type of abuse you are used to from your childhood back into your adult life. They say it is better to show, don't tell. So I'm going to show you through Tales of Repetition Compulsion how this toxic hidden force impacts on everyday lives. I spoke to you about the 8 life categories. They are work, career, our family roles, finances, our relationships like friends and romantic relationships, our health, self-care, our learning and achievements, our personal goals and projects, and finally, our social and community interactions. And I listed the 6 types of bad messages we take from a toxic or abusive childhood. And they are: you are not enough, you are responsible for me and others, don't trust your feelings and ignore your instincts, you are wrong, you are alone, nobody loves you, and finally, you must be perfect or nobody will love you. So for the first tale, I will be using the life category work, and the bad message is you are not enough. So let's start our first story, our tale, in Tales of Repetition Compulsion. Remember I told you that children learn what they live. In my opinion, this is the best saying I've ever heard because it really helps explain how someone from a toxic or abusive childhood ends up bringing all the abuse they suffered then with them into their adult lives. So if we look at it as a child who, say, grows up with love, respect and acceptance, then those become their normal. As adults, they will naturally gravitate towards people and situations that offer them that love, respect and acceptance. That kind of repetition is healthy. But if a child grows up in a toxic or abusive environment, that toxicity becomes their normal. Abuse becomes what feels familiar, and as adults, they will be subconsciously drawn back into those same kinds of situations, not because they want to, but because their subconscious mind believes that's what feels familiar and so it must be safe. This is the sinister, toxic, hidden force of repetition compulsion. This hidden force operates beneath our awareness. It is all subconscious. We don't even realize we are doing it. We simply gravitate towards what feels normal, even if what feels normal is pain. Just to recap, in today's tale, we are going to look at how repetition compulsion plays out in the life category of work with the bad message, you are not enough. So let's meet Eva. Here is what her childhood was like. She grew up in a home where nothing she did ever seemed good enough. Her father had a sharp tongue and her mother often stayed silent, as if agreeing with him. For example, one day when Eva was 7 years old, she brought home a drawing from school, one she had worked on for so many hours. She ran to the kitchen with excitement. "Look, Daddy, look what I made," she said, her small hands holding up the paper. Her father barely glanced at it, but he said, "You coloured outside the lines again. Why can't you ever do things properly?" He just muttered and shook his head and walked away. Her mother sighed, rolled her eyes to the skies and turned away, not defending her daughter. That moment, like so many others, carved something deep into Eva's mind, a belief that no matter how hard she tried, she would never be enough. She was only 7 years old, but already the bad message had taken root. You are not enough. Years went by, and every small failure reinforced this. If she got a B instead of an A, her father would frown. If she forgot to put her shoes away, her mother would call her careless and lazy and messy. Praise was rare, criticism was constant. Love had conditions, and so Eva grew up believing that her worth depended entirely on what she achieved, and even then it would never be enough. So let's fast forward and let's meet Eva again 25 years later, as an adult, in a job she was so excited to land. She didn't think she'd done well in the interview, so you can imagine how happy she was when she got the job offer. Eva is 32 now and works in a busy office. She's diligent, she's always in early, and she stays late to make sure everything is perfect. Her colleagues describe her as reliable, though she's often absolutely exhausted. Her boss, say Mr. Harris, he's demanding, sharp, impatient, and rarely satisfied. He never gives Eva any positive feedback for her work, but Eva just pushes herself to work even harder so she can prove to everybody that she is good at what she does. One Friday, Eva spends hours preparing a detailed report for an important client presentation. She double checks every number, every slide. When she hands it to Mr. Harris, she hopes, quietly and desperately, that this time he might be pleased. He flips through the pages. The layout's fine, he says flatly, but you missed the revised figures from last week's email. You need to pay closer attention. Eva feels the familiar sting, a cold wave of shame. Her stomach tightens. She apologises automatically, even though the figures Mr. Harris spoke of had only arrived after her draft was complete. Eva doesn't have the confidence to tell him this. She lets him think she forgot to add these figures to the report. You see, Eva can't speak up for herself when it comes to telling her boss that she really is capable and she really is well able to do this job. Because deep down, Eva feels she is not enough. So she just lets her boss put her down by criticising what is actually an excellent report. As her boss is criticising her report, Eva feels small, as though she's that same 7-year-old girl again, standing with her drawing, hearing her father's voice, "Why can't you ever do things properly?" This is repetition compulsion at work, literally. Eva has unconsciously recreated the same emotional experience she lived as a child. The details are different. Now it's a report instead of a drawing, a boss instead of a father, but the message is the same. You are not enough. Now, it's no coincidence that the adult event mirrors the childhood event so closely. We recreate what we know. Abuse feels familiar, and what feels familiar feels safe, even when it hurts us. Eva doesn't know she's repeating the past. She only knows that somehow she always ends up feeling inadequate no matter how hard she tries. Does this sound familiar to you? Now I want you to think about your own life. As a child, did you learn that you are not enough? Maybe you tried hard to please, to earn approval, to be noticed, but it never seemed to be enough. And now, as an adult, do you find yourself in situations where you are still being told, directly or indirectly, that you are just not enough? Perhaps at work, you give your all, but someone always finds fault. Or are you overlooked, underpaid, or made to feel invisible? Does Eva's story feel familiar to you? Can you see how the same toxic or abusive pattern from childhood can appear again in adulthood? Different people, different places, but the same emotional script. This is repetition compulsion in action. Now, the good news is this can be changed. You can stop repeating the past. There are 3 steps that allow you to take back control of your life. The first step is awareness. Now, here's a question. If something is hidden, how can you change it? Because you can't change what you don't see. So start by noticing patterns in your life. When you feel the same emotions you felt as a child, the same shame, fear, or need to please, pause and recognize it. Say to yourself, this feels familiar because it is familiar. Awareness brings to light what has been hidden. We become aware of how we are getting ourselves into the same toxic or abusive situations we endured as a child. Awareness cracks the code. Once you are aware of repetition compulsion, you immediately start to control it and not the other way around. The second step is acknowledge your instincts. Listen to them and then trust them. In a toxic or abusive childhood, we had to ignore our instincts in order to stay safe. If we went with our instincts, we would have challenged the abuse, and that would have served us not well. We would have expressed our opinions, and that too would have not have gone down too well with our abusers. So we learned to keep quiet, to not have an opinion, to not think for ourselves. Even if our instincts screamed at us, we would just have ignored them, as to listen to them and trust them would have meant getting ourselves into trouble. As adults, we must learn how to acknowledge that we actually have instincts. We must learn how to listen to them, and then we must learn to trust them. So, if something about a situation or a person feels wrong, don't silence that inner voice. It's the voice that's been waiting for you to listen to it all along. It's your instincts. They are there to protect you, and they are always right. It does take practice to learn how to acknowledge and trust something that you have been ignoring since your childhood. I found this step of healing difficult. I had to work hard on trusting what my instincts were trying to tell me. I was so used to shutting them off. So when I suddenly decided I wanted to turn them back on, it took me a while to get used to them being in my life. But acknowledging my instincts and listening to them and then trusting them made a huge difference to my life, all for the better. The third step to healing is flip the bad messages. Whatever message you learned as a child, consciously replace it with a good message. If your bad message was, I am not enough, your new message becomes, I am more than enough. Repeat it often. Write it down. Say it until it feels true, because it is true. This takes practice too. But when you replace a bad message with a good message, over time you start to believe the good message. We learn what we live as adults too. So if we live by telling ourselves good messages, those good messages become a part of us. They are our normal. Just like the bad messages became a part of our normal when we learned those in our childhood. Healing does take practice or repetition, but it's a good repetition, and this time you are in control. You are now going to repeat love, acceptance, and truth instead of pain. And because you are now conscious, you are in control. You are no longer at the mercy of repetition compulsion. So, to finish up, Eva's story is not just her story. It's a mirror for many of us who have lived through similar experiences. It shows us how our subconscious pulls us back into familiar old roles. The criticised child becomes the criticised adult, until we wake up and see the pattern. And the only way to do that is to hear about repetition compulsion being talked about, like videos like this. Since it is a hidden force, how else are we going to find out about it unless someone tells us about it? But once you know about it, it is no longer hidden. It is no longer a subconscious toxic force in your life. You can now make a conscious decision to stop it controlling your life anymore, because you now have the power to make that decision. You now have control over your life, and you will change it for the better, as you are no longer at the mercy of a sinister, hidden, toxic force called repetition compulsion. Welcome to many better days ahead. Now, tell this to yourself. I am enough. I am fantastic. You won't be upset if a boss shreds your great efforts anymore, because you will have a deep sense of and a deep knowledge that the one who is lacking and the one who needs to cop on is your boss, not you. And once you see this, you can never go back. You won't invite toxic or abusive situations into your life. You begin to invite love, respect, and acceptance into your life. I wonder where the three wise tales are. I know they are waiting to talk to you with their words of encouragement, because every journey of healing deserves a wagging tail to remind you that you are, in fact, more than enough. I'm going to hand you over now to the three wise tales. Petal, she's the nervous one in the house. Blossie, he's the wild old man in the house. And Dotty, she's just a ball of entertainment and laughter. Let's hear what they have to say to you on today's first video of Tales of Repetition Compulsion, where we see how this sinister hidden force gets to operate in every area of our lives, but not for much longer, as you are learning how to stop this happening in your life. Let me now hand you over to the three wise tales. Talk to you soon. Bye bye for now.
Hello there, it's me, Petal. I'm the nervous wise tail in the pack. Do you like my new pink bow? I wore it especially for you because when I saw this bow, it made me think of the word bow, and I bow to you. Do you get it? I wear a bow so I can bow to you. See, I'm so clever because I just used what's called a pun. Now, I might be a really nervous dog, but I'm also really clever too. You are clever because you are willing to learn how to have a better life for yourself. Like me, I know sometimes you feel nervous about looking too closely about the past, but remember what Annette said about awareness. It's the very first step to healing. When you start to notice how the same feelings and patterns show up again and again, that's not failure. That's awareness. It means you're waking up to what's been happening beneath the surface for too long. It can feel scary at first, but every time you notice a familiar feeling and pause long enough to name it, you are already healing. You're shining a light on the hidden force that used to control you. So keep watching the channel, keep learning, and keep growing. You're doing something really clever and brave. You're facing your own story. And remember something really important, please. I really do care about you, and I woof you.
Hello, dear one. I'm Blossie. At 12 years old, I have a white beard. I've seen many seasons come and go, and I've learned something important. Your instincts are wiser than you think. Your instincts are like me, enduring and full of wisdom. When you were a child, you had to ignore those instincts to survive. You could never say how you really felt or what you thought because that would probably have gotten you into trouble. But now, as an adult, you can listen to those instincts that have always been within you. Now, if something feels wrong to you, then it probably is. And you are right about this. Don't doubt it. Trust what your wise instincts are trying to tell you. If someone drains your energy, believe what your body is telling you. They are not good for you. Maybe you might have to face the fact that this person is toxic and will only use you and upset you if you keep them in your life. Your instincts will always tell you what the right thing to do is. You just have to trust what they are telling you. Acknowledging your instincts is a way of honouring yourself. It means you're finally treating your own feelings with the respect they always deserved. So take a deep breath and trust that gentle voice inside you, the one that says, "This doesn't feel right," or "This is where I belong." That's your truth speaking. And one more really important thing to tell you. I woof you too.
Hey there, it's Dotty. Hello. I'm the queen of playing jokes on everyone. I know I'm always making Annette laugh. Today I played a joke on my neighbour. I stole their ball. If you ask me, the ball was sitting in the grass waiting to be taken. So I picked it up and took it back home with me. Then I got stuck in and I burst it. And I don't care because I am prettier than my neighbour. She's a big German shepherd called Bocelli. Did you ever hear such a posh name for a dog? Well, this posh Bocelli one, she thinks she's the prettiest in the land. Not so. Did you look at my exquisite face? I'm way better good looking than her, and I don't need a posh name either. Anyway, back to the ball story. Annette now has to buy a replacement ball, or Bocelli will have no ball to play with at all. But we both know that if I come across another ball, I'll just steal it too and burst that one as well. Annette doesn't mind. She gets a laugh out of my antics. She couldn't stop laughing at me today when I carried the stolen ball all the way home to our house. I wasn't letting go of it. No way. It's mine now. I've been thinking of you, and I want to say well done to you. And why do I want to say that to you? Because you are doing the serious hard work listening to this video. It's not easy material, and you may even find it upsetting and sometimes overwhelming. I don't want to send you off feeling like this, so let me sprinkle in a little bit of joy so we can end on a chirpier note. It's time to flip those bad messages upside down and replace them with good messages. And you can do it. And I am here to help you through this new way of living. If your bad message was, I'm not enough, your new one is, I'm more than enough, and in fact, I'm fantastic. If your bad message was, I don't matter, your new one is, I matter. In fact, I matter so much, and if some people can't see that, then I am better off not being around them. Say this out loud, write it down, sing it out loud if you want. Every time you repeat a good message, you're reprogramming your mind to love, respect, and accept yourself. That's real healing, and it's powerful. So stay with this channel, keep learning with us, and keep practicing your good messages every single day. And the last really important good message I want to say to you is, can you guess it? Woof! You too. I'm off to do some dancing as I want to celebrate that you are here, learning how to get that sinister, rotten, toxic force out of your life. Now you have the first steps to healing, awareness of the hidden toxic force, and you are learning the next 2 steps to healing, which are trusting your instincts and flipping the bad messages to good messages. This is fantastic. I really mean that. And these steps to healing have a work for a better way of life. I see it with my own eyes how Annette is so much happier in herself since she became aware of repetition compulsion. And she then started to listen to her instincts and ignore the bad messages she took from her childhood. You can do this too. By listening to this video, you have already started the process of making your life better. That's something to celebrate, isn't it? Okay, my darling, I will see you soon again. Bye!